But then in a remarkable development, what happens is that Western culture begins to get stronger and Islamic culture begins to go down. To such a point that today, if you were to subtract the influence of oil, the Muslim world would join sub-Saharan Africa as being the most unimportant, inconsequential part of the planet. In other words, the whole thing could go into the ocean and basically the Dow Jones average would be unaffected. If you subtract the influence of oil. Now, this is a very scary thought because we live in a technological era in which it's not inconceivable that there will be new sources of energy that will make oil go down, become less important. The Muslims know this, and so they have been trying to diagnose what has happened to them. Why has their culture, once so strong, become so weak? And the radical Muslims have basically come up with an answer, and that is that the reason this has happened is that we have stopped being, you might say, real Muslims. So they diagnose their plight as one of needing to renew Islam and return to the kind of militaristic, politicized Islam that was there at the beginning. Remember, Islam was a terrifying sight to behold from the 7th century till about the 10th century. Today, again, looking through the backward rear-view mirror, people say, oh, the Crusades were horrible. Why did we do the Crusades? It was our fault. Oh, really? Well, that whole region that we call the Middle East used to be Christian. Egypt, Syria, Jordan, Iraq, all Christian. So the Muslims conquer it all. And then Muslim armies go south into Africa, east into Asia, north into Europe. They conquer parts of Italy, all of Spain, which they rule for 700 years. They're at the gates of Vienna. And finally, belatedly, the sleepy Christians wake up and say, what the heck? And begin to mobilize some French knights and storm Jerusalem, briefly retake. So the Crusades are a belated, clumsy, ineffective effort to defend against Islamic irredentism and conquest. And so, you know, Gibbon, the historian who wrote The Decline and Fall of the Roman Empire, no friend of Christianity, but Gibbon says that had the Crusades not happened, had the Christians not mounted a counterattack, he goes, in our time, writing in the 18th century, he goes, the teachings of Muhammad would be the curriculum in Oxford and Cambridge. In other words, the Muslims would have taken all of Europe. There was nothing to stop them if they had not been, in fact, stopped. All right, so the radical Muslims are trying to restore under new circumstances, circumstances not of strength but weakness, that initial fire of Islam that made Islamic armies unstoppable and made Islam a spectacular force in the world.